The narrative so far since the trade deal between President Trump and the Chinese President Xi Jinping after last week's meeting has been positive. But the question is, will the tariffs drama end? According to Trump, the meeting was 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. Xi Jinping responded saying he is willing to work with Trump after the talks. But would the latest Trump-Xi deal be a case of deja vu or a game changer? Between now and April, could there be another flare-up between the two sides, similar to what we have seen early this year? The questions come largely due to Trump's trade brinkmanship early this year. In fact, on June 11, after a phone call with Xi Jinping, Trump had posted on Truth Social that our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and me, quote unquote. Adding, the relationship is excellent. As it turned out, the deal was not done and the relationship was not excellent. US-China tit-for-tat trade rhetoric escalated soon after, and in a similar tone, Trump said the Xi Jinping meeting last week was amazing and added that a lot of decisions were made. But will this time be any different? For now, the truce has bought both sides time. Both presidents have put limits on their trade war in a 12 out of 10 summit, as it's been called. The threat of an additional 100% US tariff on Chinese goods is not applicable anymore. The US has further lowered import duties on China to 47% from 57%. In fact, Trump said China's fentanyl tariffs were cut by 10% from 20% earlier, as Xi Jinping has promised to take strong action. But will they seek more leverage in the broader trade fight, which has now been pushed by a year? The White House has announced the details of the deal. However, there were gaps between what the US and China have said about the trade agreement compared to the specific deals and the specific details provided by officials in the Trump administration. China's remarks were more broad-based. For example, Trump said that China has agreed to immediately begin purchasing massive amounts of soybeans and other products. U.S. Agriculture Secretary said that Beijing had committed to buying at least 87 million tons of U.S. soybeans over the next few years. However, the Chinese statement simply read, a consensus was reached on expanding agricultural trade.